All right, we're going to walk through splicing an eye into a line for a loop. So this is a lot stronger than tying a knot, a bit more permanent, and it looks a little more clean. So you can see the example here, very basic. We've got the loop, and each strand of this line is tucked in 3 times before being trimmed off. So I'm going to take the other end here and figure out approximately how big I want the loop to be. Leave enough here that you're going to be able to tuck it through at least 3 times. You're going to want to leave excess so that you've got enough space to grip each strand and kind of snug it up before you trim it down. So we'll go, probably shorten that a bit. All right, so that looks good. I'm going to take a Sharpie here and I'll just make a mark so it'll be a little bit easier to follow. Now what I'll do is take a bit of whipping thread. I had a piece here, hopefully the cat didn't run off with it. Yep, there it is. And what we're going to do is tie double overhand knot right where we want them to intersect. This will serve 2 purposes. The first is that it's kind of acts like a marker for the intersection. So we know when we lay that over, okay, that'll get us about the loop that we want. Another is to keep the line from unraveling farther than we need it to. So I'm going to start untwisting the 3 strands here until I get to that bit of whipping thread. Okay, so I'm going to lay it out. As you're looking at it, you're going to have one here in the middle, one on either side. What I'm going to do is make a mark on the strand in here in the middle, and that actually correspond to the mark I made over here where we start our tuck. Okay. Oops, sorry. So what I'm going to do is unlay the line here. Take this strand that I've made the mark on and open that up a bit. This line's pretty pliable, so I don't need the spike, but just to help illustrate the point. Open that up enough so that you can pass a strand through it. So I'm going to take the strand here that I marked and pass it under the marked strand over here. I'm going to draw that up. Don't really need to tug a whole lot on it, just make sure it's up there. So the strand that was to the left of this one, that's behind now, but I'm going to bring that around front. And what I'm going to do, so we're tucked under this strand here. We're going to go with this, with the 2 marked. The strand's tucked under the marked strand here. So we're going to go immediately to the left. So we're basically going over the marked and then under the next strand. Okay. We'll draw that up. I don't want to pull on this too hard because you can kind of deform things. So we've got this 3rd one hanging out back here. We'll do from these marks where you've got these first 2 strands tucked, we're just going to go ahead and flip that upside down. So you'll see this strand coming out here. We're going to want to tuck this 3rd strand up next to it. So we're going in and under, like we've got the spike here. I'm just going to fold these and make it a little bit easier to get through without fraying the end of the line. So now we've got the first set of tucks. So at this point, what we'll do give it a little tug on these strands to draw everything up. And I can get this little bit of whipping thread out of the way here. Oh, you see what I mean? If you draw that up too tight, that starts to twist. But for our purposes, let's keep going. So it doesn't matter which strand you work next, but you're going to go around to the left. So you're twisting the rope to the right as you work, but I'm going to take this strand, and as I go over to the left, I'm going to go over the strand that's immediately to the left and then under the next one. Okay, I'm going to turn this over and go to the one to the left. I'm going to go over this strand and under the next one. And pull these up, finger tight, and we'll go to the one to the left. We go over this strand and under the next one. All right. Draw these up again, just kind of finger tight. So that's 2 sets of tucks. We got to make at least 1 more. You can do more than that, but 3 is kind of the minimum. All right. So start with 1 strand again. Pick any strand you want. Over the strand to the left and under the one beyond that. Move the next strand to the left. Over and under. Come back around, a little bit easier to go in this direction. And this last strand, again, over this and under. All right, so we've made our 3 passes. You can see this looks kind of lumpy. It doesn't look anywhere as clean and tidy as this one. So, and draw everything up. What we're going to do before trimming off any of this excess is just put it between your hands or put it under your foot, roll it around, draw on it a bit, try to get everything settled in. All right, now you can see how tidy this is. Again, I put a little too much pressure initially on one of these strands, so that's why it's got that little bit of twist. It doesn't sit as nicely as this, but for these demonstration purposes, it's not a big deal. If I were actually going to be using this for anything, I'd go back and start over again. All right, so these 3 strands are drawn up tight. Now I'm just going to trim away the excess and maybe leave it just a little bit long. As load is put on, these are going to kind of draw in a little bit, so you don't want them to completely disappear. And save these, I don't know, tinder to start a fire or something. Okay. And there you have a basic 3-strand eye splice.